to you by
Guarantee Trust Bank. Wouldn't you rather bank with us?
Hello, good evening. My name is Malik Abazdam. Welcome to PM Express. A few days ago, a statement came out, and this statement was virtually issuing a second alert about a possible terrorist attack on Ghana and, of course, Togo. This was buoyed by interrogation granted by a Malian who was interrogated by our security services. How credible are these alerts? Beyond this, how prepared is the nation? This is a question that has been asked over and over again. The answer has been the same. We don't seem to be properly prepared. But when it comes to personal security, are Ghanaians properly schooled to cater for their personal security? We are discussing these vexed matters on PM Express tonight. My name is Malik Abazdam. Keep watching. You're welcome back. This program is being brought to you with the kindest sponsorship of GT Bank. And I have with me in the studio a security analyst that will help us deal with these matters, whether these alerts are credible. Are they founded in fact? Are they founded in any credible intelligence? Or this is just playing to the gallery? Mr. Paul Boateng is my guest. Mr. Paul Boateng, welcome.
Thank you.
Have you read this recent report about a so-called attack on Ghana and Togo?
Yes, I have read it, and you know, security issues, whether it is credible or not, you need to take precautionary measures towards that. So when I read it, I was okay. I tried to do my checks, and well, I cannot disclose the whole thing detail here.
Yes, but what did the checks reveal?
That is what I'm saying. I cannot disclose it, but I think it's credible. It's credible, and you need to take it serious.
This question has been asked repeatedly about whether we are prepared. At the risk of sounding boring, let me ask you that same question. Are we prepared?
I would say we are prepared. But you see, in the security issue, we cannot say you are 100%. Look at America, what's happening there. So we are prepared. I trust Ghana securities. I know they are working seriously. But I think we have to do a lot. We have to do a lot. Because the security personnel alone, they cannot do the work. The citizens must be educated, sensitized. Some of these security attacks,
which we are being told is not happening, because when we spoke to Dr. Kwesienin of the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center, he has continuously, repeatedly complained that when you issue a statement and say the general citizenry must be alert, and you do not give the parameters what determines a suspicious act. When you say that people should report suspicious activities of strangers or other persons, and you do not define what a suspicious activity is, the citizenry can't be of any help.
I do agree with him. I think that is the issue some of us has been complaining about, you know, because we need to educate our people. The various, what do you call it, activities that they, potential activities that they may be suspicious one that they should be reporting to. So I keep saying that early recognition and reporting is the best thing we have to do as a country, you know. I expect the security personnel to educate our people, our Ghanaians, especially Ghanaians, and then we move on from there.
And what should this education entail? Where should it start?
It depends, but you see, we cannot say should start at this particular place. You media people should also help us in dealing with this issue.
That's the reason why you are here.
So there are certain things that maybe you notice somebody is doing that you come to, okay.
Such as what?
Well, you know, somebody may be trying to find out, especially we have something that we call suspicious questioning. You may be in these studios here, somebody may try to find out, ask so many questions that you yourself, you think, how come this person asking these questions? When you find out that the person asking unnecessary questions, try to get information of this institution, then you know that maybe he's trying to get this information for other motives.
But if we are being told, and we spoke to Dr. Kwesine again this morning on Joy FM, where he said that the various terrorist groups have their targets, and some target hospitals or bus stops, others target hotels and all of that. For a target such as a bus stop, what questions can anybody ask at a bus stop?
It's not only questions. There are other things that they try to find out. Sometimes they try to create an unnecessary panic to see the reaction of the security personnel. Sometimes that's what you call it, security rapid. They try to find out the number of minutes that the security personnel will react. You see, they also try to impersonate. Sometimes they try to impersonate. They can even wear uniform, police uniform or something like to gain access to unauthorized zones. These are some of the tricks that they normally use. It's not only questioning. It's not only, what do you call it? And their target is not merely on bus stops or, it depends. It depends. Because if you look at what has happened over a month or two, the hotels, and these hotels are where we find most of the expatriates.
You're talking about the
Ivorian one and then the Burkinabe one. Mm-hmm. So you don't expect them to maybe focus their attention on one particular zone. It depends the area or the country in which they want to attack.
But, so my question is, if they choose a bus stop, what can we do?
Well, it is very difficult looking at the environment in which we live in, because gaining access to most of our bus stops is easy. Mm-hmm. It's easy. So what I would say is that you need to be lookout. You don't have to take some of these things. You need to be looking at things around us. The person entering the bus stop, maybe the person entering to the bus or boarding the bus, his actions, what the person look like. You know, they have so many things, and these people are, it is very difficult also to identify them. Very, very difficult.
Listening to you, it seems to me that there is very little we can do.
Well, I don't want to say very little that we can do, because the checkpoints are there, and in places like bus stop, for me, it will be very difficult. If you look at places like Circle, VIP, or any other place where we normally go, and
bus station and
you know,
plan station, and
anybody at all can go there. You don't see any policeman asking somebody's questions, why you are here, why you are this. So
it's not even practically possible.
Yes, so that is the problem we are facing now. It is very difficult. I must be honest with you. It is very difficult for us.
Okay, let's move away from the bus stops, even the hotels. Given where you sit, do you think our hotels are secure enough, that our hotels have proper security systems in place?
Yes, for our hotels. Most of the hotels that I've been visiting of late, they have that check. And some of them have gadgets that they can detect some of this, what you call grenade and other weapons that can cause. And so for that one, they are improving.
But those things, are there we know about situations where companies put up security systems. They just put up CCTV cameras. They put the cameras there, but the cameras actually are not working. So it is entirely possible that they just put these things there so that you go and see and say, oh, okay, security has been beefed up. In fact, the equipment may not even be working.
It is better they do it that way than not putting anything at all.
But then no results will be achieved.
You see, one thing we should also know is that these people use sophisticated weapons or something, a technology that is more advanced, because some of them maybe have been working with the security system before entering into this particular group. We don't expect to be perfect, but what I will say is that our hotels of late, they are improving and they are doing well when it comes to these checks, because they have been conscious about this.
Let me tell you an experience, and this is information gathered by a couple of my colleagues here. They went to a number of hotels. They found out that what you were talking about, the people have the equipment, but you know what? They are checking only vehicles. Yeah. So when a vehicle is driving in, they have these equipment that they come and check, go down the vehicle and check, and then let go. But if you carry your backpack and you are walking in, nobody searches you, nobody checks anything. So if you have any ill motives, you can just go and park your car somewhere and then take your backpack with whatever equipment you have in there and walk into the hotel.
That is where I think we have to work on. We need to educate our people, especially those in the private security sector, to be abreast of this issue. Because sometimes you find, I do agree with you. Personally, I have witnessed some of these issues. You go there, especially if you don't have car, you just go there, you enter reception. If you want to go to they won't ask you anything. So we need to educate them and then try to, because we are in bad times. I must be honest with you. We are in bad times. I need to.
There's Chief of Army Staff, Major General Richard Opoku-Edusei. He says that the security agencies have succeeded in picking up some suspected terrorists currently under interrogation. And according to him, although the country's special forces are also on standby to respond to any such threats, they are focusing more on preventive measures. I don't know if we have his, okay, let's listen to him. Let's listen to exactly what he said. Then I can come back to Paul to respond to it.
Can I assure you that we are very prepared and ready. We have our special forces standing by. We still train to, as much as possible. The best thing to do is to gather information and preempt it, to avoid it. That is the best. Because countering terrorism is a difficult way to go. The Americans, they talk about all the developing countries. Quite recently, we heard about this Brussels, Belgium attack. Once it happens, then it becomes a difficult drill to do. But what we are doing, and we have succeeded in doing so far, is our ability to track people who are suspected to be coming around with that intention. And we fortunately picked a couple of them who we are interrogating.
You're welcome back. We are discussing security, and we intend to expand this discussion to talk about personal security. As an individual, how do you protect your personal security to be sure that you are safe? And I have with me Paul Boateng, who is a security analyst, and he's helping us with some analysis on this. And you just heard the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Richard Opoku, and he's sharing your opinion that, and he's citing the Brussels attack at the Brussels airport, he's citing France and in the US and all of that. When I hear this, I am not assured, because I hear you, the security persons, saying, look, well, we are trying our best, but if something happens, don't blame us. Even in the big democracies and advanced countries, these things happen.
Yes, you know, security issue is complex.
That's why some people are trained to deal with the complex issue.
So I think that is what demands our security chief said. We need to educate our citizenry. I think that will help, because you yourself, you are the best security person. You can defend and protect yourself better than somebody, because before that person comes, maybe somebody has taken your life. So whilst you are being sensitized on these security issues, preventive measures, immediately you find out something is going wrong in your community, locality, whether you are in the church, mosque, maybe in this studio, you can easily call in, then the security.
It is all well and good to expect the general citizenry to play an active role, but the persons whose responsibility it is to ensure our security and who are trained to do this must themselves be properly resourced to do this. Are our people properly resourced? Defense Minister Dr. Benjamin Kumbo today met with the Parliamentary Committee, the Public Accounts Committee, and he conceded that there are budgetary constraints. I want us to listen to what Dr. Benjamin Kumbo said, and then we can come back to Mr. Boatin to analyze what he has said.
Our attention has just been drawn that 4 more have actually been completed, but they've not been paid for. So that brings the total up to 5. Yeah. Out of 18. Yeah. Anyway, the situation is that those projects are really lacking behind. But as I was indicating, when they earmarked a defense sector project that has some implications for military morale, it is always important that you assist through mobilization for the contractor to move inside. If you look at all other contracts, 14 months normally will be on the low side, but that is the speed that the Ghana Armed Forces will always ask for. We have had occasion, and we tell the contractors, you cannot keep by the standards in the speed, you don't have to enter into the contract. So these are some of the challenges. But I think by the time we finish completing our internal auditing on the status of these projects, then if the committee is interested, we'll tell you how far we've been able to go. Locating actually the fiscal contractors is a difficulty, but I can make a document available to you, which we did to the Minister of Finance. It will tell you the contractor, the date of award, the amount, what has been paid so far, what is outstanding, and the status as at now. We have all that documents, and we can leave it for the committee. It will give you a clearer picture.
I want you to take into consideration an observation by the Auditor General, which can be found at paragraph 1536. This is what the Auditor General said. We noted that the contractors failed to execute the contracts before the end of the 1-year expiration period. Some of the contractors had only executed 41% of the job. So it seems to me that the contractors have given your ministry a very shabby treatment. And some of them are. That is why we should know the terms of engagement. Were they supposed to complete the jobs and then they raise the certificates and they are paid? You see, we don't have the full details of this matter. But if you do 41% of the job and you've been paid some good money and you leave the work, I'm of the humble view that you have some intelligence behind you to get them arrested, especially the individuals who were involved. You're just telling us that some address that will furnish you is non-existent. Attorney General, I'm of the view that I still want to call him Attorney General. Are we not looking at some of these issues as defrauding by false pretenses? The individuals hiding behind companies, taking good monies and not working.
Well, actual knowledge, and you would know that any form of fraud is such a serious matter that I won't like to impute to anybody rather lightly. But Chairman, if I can give you a typical example of what we have. If you take one of the documents which we'll be making available to you, we've got Garrison Tema, construction and completion of 4-story of 16 flats, dismarried. Name of contractor, Mrs. Aniedan Company Limited. Original contract sum, about 797,000 Ghana cedis. Variation due to revision, 552,000 thereabout. Revised contract sum, 1.3 million. Payment made to date, 566. Balance outstanding, 783. The current status is that the project is at 60%.
Honorable,
yes,
you are very detailed. We'll crave your indulgence to table this document and also furnish us with all the contract documents.
Yes.
Yes.
This is an illustration I'm giving. There are so many of them. So I just wanted you to see when you indicated that good money could actually be paid for only 41% of the work. That might just be for one project. But there are projects in which 60% of the work has been done and less than 50% of payment has been effected. So it varies from company to company. But we'll make sure that the contractual documents are all made available.
Yes, and also the status report you are trying to present to us, if you will table it, we'll be happy.
Yes,
yes.
It is hereby tabled.
Why wouldn't your big men convince the auditors to avoid the trouble of having these things in the reports?
Well, thank you. I'm sure the auditors have a different procedure and what they are looking for. So perhaps they march sideways. The military march forward.
Honorable Minister,
and they take
the sentiments around the table is that you should withdraw that. How do I even describe that?
Okay, why I'm saying that it's not supposed to be slighting the Auditor General. I have been a subject of an audit investigation, and when I say they walk sideways, I know what they do. They do a lot of correlations of things that for you in the institution, you think is a linear, straightforward thing. But they would go and look at originating and other sources before they come out with their report. So that's what I'm saying, that the explanation that will satisfy an order from your background as somebody who knows this will be different from a lawyer like me who might not have an idea of what will satisfy an auditor. I also know that our audit laws require a lot of review. I mean, you talk about misapplication. Then you go and look at it, they tell you misapplication is a very serious matter in it. Then you go and find out, they say, oh, you can apply to VI. But if the environment which invariably would be given, you do not do it, the auditors will say it was misapplication. Then there's misappropriation. And there's many, many things. That's why I'm saying that from the technical military point of view, they have always explained it to the best of their ability. And I'm sure the auditors are always convinced or not convinced. If you take my good friend Kelly, who is here, he knows more about the armed forces than even many more people because he's been working at it for years. But we'll ask them that anytime the auditors come, they should take time and understand the language of the auditors so that they can respond in audit language form and not in military form. That's what I'm trying to explain.
But Mr. Minister, you have internal auditors who are military men with accounting backgrounds. Is that not the case?
Well, now you have the Internal Audit Agency, which is a state institution, and they post people to ministries. So if we are dealing with the Ministry of Defense, it will be different from the JHQ, which is the Army headquarters. So they will have their internal control auditors. But the statutory body that we deal with is the Internal Audit Unit. And the MOD don't even recruit the staff. They are posted to us from a central agency.
You're welcome back. You're watching PM Express, and that was Defense Minister Dr. Benjamin Kumbo. In fact, the aspects of his submission that I wanted, I didn't quite get it, But of course, what he was talking about is still relevant for our discussion. And what he was talking about was a contract that was awarded in 2007 for the construction of some houses for military personnel. It's been how many years since 2007 that contract hasn't been fully executed? Just about one of the houses has been completed, and today he revealed that 4 others are about 95% complete. But what is more is that the contractors who executed the project cannot be traced. So the ministry does not know what to do. So they are thinking about putting up public notices to look for these contractors who took money to execute a contract that was not fully executed. And note that the contract sum jumped from $16 million to $25 million. And still, we can't find where the contractors, who the contractors are and where they are. We can't find. And let me come back to Paul. Is it not serious that an important institution, an important security institution such as the military, that we make funding available to provide housing for them? Since 2007, we have not been able to complete the project, and the contractors can't even be traced.
Well, I don't want to comment on that one because
but it's
I
a
don't know.
serious security
No,
complications.
I'm coming. Because you see, I don't have detail of that contract, so I will be restricted myself
the point
in dealing with that issue. I prefer we talk about preventive measures. I do agree with you because you look at the amount that is involved. We have maybe used that amount in acquiring some of the gadgets that we need at the moment for this security personnel. I think we need to talk about it, but not at this particular
moment. I'm not expecting you to talk about a contract. I'm expecting you to talk about the fact that
they cannot trace
houses that we have to build for military officers. Since 2007, we have not been able to complete them.
Yeah.
And these are the people that we are relying on to protect all of us.
Fine. I think I keep telling my friends that security is very, very expensive. If you want to get a better security system, you need to spend. And these are the people that we need to provide them accommodation for them to, so that they can fully prepare to defend us and protect us.
And to be fair to you, because I knew that you probably wouldn't have all the facts, I'm trying to bring a member of parliament who is a member of the Public Accounts Committee, and he's the MP for Bunkrugu, Mr. Solomon Namlet Boa, to come and speak about this issue, because he was sitting there when the defense minister provided the answers that they thought were unsatisfactory in relation to this matter. But before he comes, he had to go for another program. Before he comes, let me pick some of the comments that we received from some of you viewers. This one says, let's think about Ghana immigration small. You just look at our men working at the various borders and they are not armed. Why? Let's think of our border patrols small. And this is from Hayford, Sampa. Do you share his view that it is a problem that our security men at the borders are not armed?
I will not say they are not armed. But you know, the borders, we have porous borders. Look at the Togo side, Burkina Faso, and then Ivory Coast one. We have unapproved route that's illegal, let's say immigrants pass through and they come in, go without any checks. These are some of the things that we have to look at. Not that they are not armed. You see, we have to...
But the former Interior Minister, Mark Woyongo, raised issues when he toured some of the borders. They raised concerns about the fact that they are not armed. So if you face a security threat such as we face, and you have porous borders as you point out, and the persons who man these borders are not armed, the persons who are coming to attack you will be armed with grenades, you have a problem.
Yeah. I don't want to say they are not armed. In security issue, you don't have to say all these things in public. You see,
but this is publicly known.
No,
this is fact.
Let me land. You cannot say all personnel in our borders are not armed.
But we know that they are not.
No. I will not agree with that.
We have to go for a break at this point. When we come back, I'm hoping that by this time, Mr. Solomon Boa would have joined us, that he can bring light on these issues. You're watching PM Express. Stay tuned. You're watching PM Express, and we are discussing security. I want to read some of your comments. This is Councillor Sani, and he says, Malik, security is very important in every aspect of our lives. Second, no information is small or little, and information must be serious. And all security agencies must be on guard, and all citizens must report anything suspicious to the security agencies. And I was asking you, what constitutes suspicious behavior? And you said if somebody walks into the reception at Joy News or Joy FM and start asking a series of questions, that should alert anyone. But frankly, these are things that happen on a daily basis, that people come and ask questions. They just want to know what is going on. How can that be sufficient basis for you to suspect anything?
Okay, I use this studios for example, but not necessarily that question, because we are in the media, so questions is part of your... but for example, if you happen to be unauthorized zone or security zone and you meet somebody, the person may not have been there at that particular time, and try to ask a series of questions. Try to find out how some of the activities are being done over there. Then you try to think why this man is asking so many questions at this particular time. Sometimes it's not only questioning. Sometimes they try to also do rehearsals.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. What they intend doing, maybe in the near future, they try to put into practice and see the reaction of the security personnel or the citizens. Maybe they can come here with toy explosive or something like that. Then they will see if that thing explodes, how people in this particular community will react, or the number of minutes that the security personnel will arrange.
They pre-test.
They pre-test
what they would do.
What they will do. And then sometimes what they normally do is the impersonation. You know, they can have a very nice vehicle. Somebody must be inside and use somebody's name. I'm so and so, even I'm an MP or minister, and gain access to unauthorized zones. They do it. They can even have a fake sticker or something like that on their car. You know, when they are passing through the checkpoints, you see maybe a policeman will say, oh, this man is MP. You will just salute him or greet him, and then the person will be allowed to go. These are some of the things that we have to look at.
The Christian Council of Ghana, only this week, complained about what you are just pointing out, that in this country, anybody who is driving an expensive car or a big car is not checked.
Yeah.
When they get to any police checkpoint, they just wave them, move on.
Yeah.
And when you have such a culture in our security system, how does that affect this national awareness that you think should be created or must be created?
That is what I think the media men like you should be doing.
But we are not the people who are standing at the checkpoints.
No, whilst we continue to talk about it, you create the consciousness, and the people will beginning to say, okay, I will start doing this. Because some of them, for fear or what, they will allow the Porsche cars to just pass by. And it is not good for us, because some of these guys will use very nice car, 4x4, and with very dress that you think, oh, this one is highly respected person in the maybe community, so let him pass. For all you know, all the things that should not have entered in this country is in his car. So I think it's time for our security personnel to start checking on this. And the ministers or MPs or those in such positions should also allow themselves to be checked by the police. Sometimes you see some of these big men, immediately policeman stuff, they will start showing some kind of bossiness on the police personnel, try to say certain words that is not good for personnel to be here.
But if you're a security person who knows your job, you should check everyone,
Chief, the system,
including the president.
No, you see, our system is not like advanced, the system that we have in advanced countries.
Why can't we have that?
I think that is what we need to be doing now. We should educate our people. Because our laws, we have all the laws, but how to enforce it? You see, don't be surprised. Policeman will stop a taxi driver, and immediately a taxi driver will call somebody, and that person will call the policeman and say, leave that taxi driver. It is happening. It is happening. It's something that we have to change it. If you really want to be security conscious and prevent certain things, then you need to look at all these things. The big men should allow themselves to be checked by the police personnel. That one, people will also start to say, okay, this is what you're supposed to be doing, and they will be.
You were talking about the general security consciousness, and you said if somebody came here and was asking questions, we should be alert. I'm pointing out to you that in this country, very few people are security conscious. That if you walk into any institution and ask, I'm looking for Paul, they will ask you, which Paul? Which clearly is telling you that there's more than one Paul. In fact, some will ask you, oh, Paul, the one with the red car, which is complete information that is being given on a silver platter. So generally, we are not security conscious. And it is expecting too much when you ask these same people who give information freely to be the persons who have to watch out for our general safety and security.
Yeah, it's true. For security consciousness, I think we don't have it. We lack so many things when it comes to security consciousness. Because if you ask me, or if you might ask, in our universities, which one of them offers security or any national security studies or training in some of them? You don't have it here.
Okay, you hold that thought for me. I have to take a quick break. Mr. Solomon Boa has joined us. When we come back from the break, we will hear from him. You're watching PM Express. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. You're watching PM Express, and I had to pull Mr. Solomon Boa from a very important program to join us in this discussion. Mr. Boa, you're welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
And unfortunately, we just played Dr. Kumbo's submissions at the park settings. Yeah. And from all indications, the military has serious budgetary constraints. Because when you look at the debt profile of the ministry alone, it's massive. In fact, I am told that if they were to deduct all the debts that they owe from this year's allocation, what will be left will be less than 20%.
That's true. Yeah, let me use this opportunity to say good evening to your viewers. I must say that I was in a very important program as well, and if
my viewers are very forgiving. They will forgive.
If they have forgiven me, I really thank God for that. That can give me the encouragement to make at least an appreciable submission.
Absolutely.
I think that when it comes to the issue of budgetary constraints, it is not Solomon Boa who has to say it, especially on the part of the security. If you have had the opportunity to listen to the likes of Honorable Dr. Benjamin Kumbo
himself, who's the
himself,
defense minister.
the defense minister, eloquent as he is, very, very careful in choosing his words, you will realize that even at a point in time, he had no option but to start pouring out his frustrations. Too much lamentations. And when we talk about resource constraints, as against the security of the nation, we have to take one thing into consideration. When you are talking about providing resources to ensure that the security are able to do their work very well, it has to be total. Okay. It has to be total.
You don't think that is happening?
No, not at all. Far from that. I'll soon get to that point. It has to be total in the sense that, well, we will be talking about providing all the logistics for them to do their work. But you also have to understand that the psychological makeup of the security personnel is something that we cannot take for granted. Their psychological makeup. I will just cite one instance where they were supposed to construct some housing facilities for the military as late back as 2007.
Yes,
2007. 18 different projects, very important projects. As we talk today, only 5 of them have been completed successfully. The rest, only God knows when that will be completed. And nobody has answers to that, apart from the Ministry of Finance. And that's the more reason why, as Public Accounts Committee, the chairman thought it prudent that no, we have to really invite these people to find out what is happening. Because even at a point in time when the Ministry of Defense expected them to have made some money available from the contingency vote, it's not forthcoming. It's not just forthcoming. Then you ask yourself, what is going on? Because I have said it time without number.
Is it your view that at a time when we are being told that there is the threat of a terrorist attack on us is real, is it your view that it is problematic when an important security agency such as the military is having these kinds of challenges?
No, of course, certainly is something that you and I should be worried. Everybody must be worried, because I have said it time with that number. When it comes to the security of your household, I don't think a very young and intelligent person like you will want to take it for granted. I will not equally take it for granted, to the best of the little that I can be able to make available to ensure that I am secured. Not to talk of the nation. When we are without the defense ministry being well resourced, then we cannot comfortably say that we are more than prepared to really confront these terrorists. And we just need to be proved very wrong. The only indicator, the major indicator that has to be for that everybody wants to see, is to hear that the military are well resourced. All the money that they needed has been given to them. But here we are, the approval is made. Then at the end of the day, you see the major players in that sector crying almost every day that they are constrained. They are constrained. So this is not something that the finance ministry should just treat it with a pinch of salt. Yeah. I think that they must up their game and ensure that whatever is needed for the military to do their work, whatever resources is needed, they have to release it. It's not acceptable.
But Honorable, generally, we have constraints everywhere. We can't discriminate and say, okay, for this group, they must have all the resources. Paul, whilst security is absolutely important, the constraints that confront the nation must affect the military as well.
You see, we should get our priorities right. Without security, we will not have a peaceful nation. As I said, security is expensive. For me, when I hear news like this, in fact, I'm troubled now. I don't feel comfortable hearing news like the one that we just played. It is not the best.
But the defense minister was being honest, wasn't he?
Oh,
It's
he
not
was
the
being
best.
honest.
Yes,
And
that's. I mean,
and it was prudent for him to be
Yeah.
honest to Ghanaians.
but I think it's time. I don't want to talk about, because it's not the best to. It's like we're exposing ourselves. It's not the best.
Okay,
It's not
Honorable,
the best at
given
all.
where you said, is there anything that Parliament can do? Because you make the approval, they bring a budget, you approve the budget. Of course, you don't determine the releases, but is there anything that Parliament can do that when you make approval, especially for essential institutions such as the military, that the releases will be made?
No, I'm very sure that the finance ministry will up their game. Yeah. That one, I'm very positive about it. That is not also to say that all is just too bad with the military. I don't think that we should also get to that level. I want to believe that we as citizens just don't want to hear of too numerous complaints coming from that sector. And that is the more reason why we are so vociferous about this issue, that we are prepared. The nation is under threat. A lot of predictions have been made. Where we've seen a lot of evidence that people have made a lot of confessions. And if these confessions have been made, it behoves on you and I to put pressure to bear on the Ministry of Finance to do what they are supposed to do, so that the psychological makeup of the security personnel will be total. When they are leaving their homes, they know very well that I am leaving my wife and children in a very sound shape. And by the grace of God, if God brings me back, I will come and meet them in a very comfortable state. That is very important in every security endeavor. Or in every, I am not a military man, but I want to believe that if I know very well that my family or my nuclear family has been put in a position that wherever I am, whether I am on peacekeeping, I am maybe around the borders, watching to see that no any element that wants to come in and do anything untoward does it, then I don't have to be thinking and wondering whether my family, my wife, and my children are really sleeping very well. So this is not something that it's just a very good example that we are using. That is not probably there are some things that maybe the military apparatus or the major players in that setup know that you and I might not know. But we are talking of what we heard today. That if going by what we heard today, if it's something to go by, then it means that we have to up our game. We have to up our game in terms of how resources are dissipated.
But in spite of what the minister says, and you were not here, we just played a statement from the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Richard Poku-Edusei. And he said that, in fact, they've made some arrests, and you were talking about interrogations going on. They are making interrogations. In spite of all of these constraints, the security systems are working.
Yeah. Yes, of course, it has to work. And you and I, in the midst of all the daunting challenges, it has to work, because if you get up tomorrow and you hear that it's not working, I don't know whether you will even have the edge to drive to Joy FM and start doing your work. Or I don't think so. So in the midst of the challenges, as for the resources, we know the resources are unlimited. But let's work to a level where we can be seen to have eschewed the issue of no resources for the security agencies. As for that one, because the extent to which terrorism is really growing in the world, it means that we have to really give high premium in terms of how we dissipate resources, how resources are allocated, so that you and I will be very comfortable. My brother, if the country is under threat, our democracy is under threat. You know it. Absolutely. If the country is under threat, our health system is under threat. Everything is under threat. Everything that you can call developmental activity
will be under threat.
I
was asking him a question as to whether the complaint, and this is a complaint coming from Dr. Kwesi Ening, that the statement from National Security that the general populace must be vigilant and alert, in his view, is empty, because he said it didn't define what it means to be alert. When you say somebody should be alert, alert of what? He said it didn't define that. And the statement said people should report suspicious behavior. And he said, we didn't define what suspicious behavior is. He tried to give us some definition, but the statement ought to be clear and detailed enough so that people can know, let's have boxes, tick them, watch out for A, B, C, and D. If you don't give people what to watch, look out for, and just tell the people, be alert, you wouldn't have done anything, because already this is not a nation that is security conscious in terms of the citizenry. We are not a people who are security conscious.
I think that is very important. I think that is really very critical for all of us, because I have been asking myself, is it not time for our security agencies to come out with some leaflets? At least a summary of what basic things that you and I need to do on a daily basis as we walk around. What is it that, if they're saying we have to be alert, in trying to observe whatever is happening as we move to the mall, the market, and all those, what is it that we should be looking at? Then we those who have been fortunate or privileged to have gone to school and we can read and write, then we will be able to put that in our minds and then educate those who are not able to read and write. It might be very, very difficult or challenging to reach out to every individual or every nook and cranny of the society. But if this is done, we have the churches, we have the mosques, and all these very important setups. They have leaders and what have you.
Educational institutions
and all those. We need leaflets. Come out, guess the security measures that we have to put in place. Just come out with leaflets and give it to us. Then we're all over, we can be able to at least assimilate it and work with it.
There are those who say, when you do that, when you do what Honorable is suggesting, and you do all of these leaflets and you provide all of this information, then you then arm the terrorists to know how to avoid all of your measures. Like Chinua Achebe will say, when the birds fly without perching, hunters shoot without missing. So the best security system is, don't put out too much information. You share that view.
It is better we educate our citizens or sensitize them than not to do it at all. You know, preventive measures, it's very important for us at the moment. And as I said, we are not security conscious as a nation. We cannot even get one university that gives these programs to our graduates. So I think the security operative or security personnel should start be educating our people, going to various schools, mosques, churches, various communities, especially social gatherings. You should be educating them certain things that they need to know. Other than that, it is going to be very difficult for us.
What do you say to those who say what you are proposing is recipe for disaster, because you are informing the people what you are doing, and then they can find clever ways of avoiding whatever systems you are putting in place?
You know, my brother Malik, you know, I keep saying something. Anytime I get the opportunity to meet colleagues, if we are discussing what is good for this country, I always say that as human beings, let's do what is humanly possible. Let's do what is humanly possible and leave the rest to God. What is it that America didn't do? But September 9, we were met with that ugly sin. Yeah, September 11. That ugly sin really greeted the whole of the world. It has gone down history as the darkest, one of the darkest days in the history of this of mankind. So to say that if we do that, the terrorists will be they will outwit us in another form, it's not something that I want to really buy that. I don't think so. We have to keep conscientizing ourselves, because if we don't do that, which is better, for you to know what you are supposed to do what to know if they are saying be observant, what you are supposed to observe. It's not better to know that than to just live in the dark. Then you are moving anyhow. Somebody was telling me something that a security man told him something, and it worked very well. It worked very well because if he didn't put up that measure, only God knows what would have happened. Because he was going somewhere, he said, when you get there, you get there very late. When you get there, don't toot your horn.
He didn't toot
his horn. And you give a call. And when you give a call, as soon as before you get there, they open the door, you go in.
And he was safe.
But he was safe. You understand? Guess that simple advice.
We have run out of time at this point, and I think this is the perfect time to bring the discussion to a close. My guests have been Mr. Solomon Namlet Boa. He is the MP for Bunkrugu, and he's also a member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament. I also had Paul Boateng, a security analyst, on the show. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. This has been your show. God willing, tomorrow we'll bring you another show, another discussion on this channel. My name is Malik Abbas Dabu. Good night.
PM Express was brought to you by
Guarantee Trust Bank. Wouldn't you rather bank with us?